G'day guys, Tassie from Kenoath, welcome. This night is not a charity fundraiser as such. We're not here to raise funds tonight. We don't have framed jerseys and Fenndog shirts to raffle off. We're not raising
Not that pretentious, mate.
We're not doing any boob signings, so no $20 boob signings.
I am that pretentious.
But if you do want to pop one out, we won't stop. Tonight's about connection. It's about human connection. It's about heartfelt connection. All right. And firstly, I want to acknowledge the people in this room. We've got some of Fenndog's great mates. I've got some of my dearest mates from my childhood, and I've got family. And we've also got the great folk here at Easy Times, who have been amazing. Fenndog rang me up last week. Tassie, I'm going to be here next Saturday. We've got to find a venue. And something just struck me about a place. I think I know where I want to go. It's called Easy Times. And we're all having hard times, so I really like the cool little synergy in the name. And I came down and met these folk, and they just jumped on board. So if you can put your hands together for Ash and Josh. Thank you so much for your hospitality. I've got a bit of a synergy with this precinct in this building, and it goes back quite a way. And 3 years ago, we relaunched Kenoath with a new logo, new websites, and we actually filmed a promo video out here on the street at 6 a.m. And it was pretty interesting. And here we are tonight, but I can go back even a little bit further than 3 years ago. The West Indies were practicing at the Gabba in 1979, and their captain, Clive Lloyd, actually got hold of this ball and tonked it over the Clem Jones stand, and it landed in the middle of Stanley Street and dribbled into the workshop of the Morton Rubber Works just down here, meters away from where we are. Now that was 14 years ago.
That's a big hit.
It's a big hit too, mate. It was a low stand, but he absolutely connected, came over. Now, my dad used to drink with the owner down at East Rugby League Club, and one day he came in and said, he gave the ball to my father and said, look, I know your kid likes cricket, give this to him and get a kick out of it. So that was 41 years ago, and I've always had this dream about one day having an office or a building, a business in this building. It's been that part of my life for so long. So I want to show you something. That's the fucking ball. Wow. And that's from 41 years ago, and I'm sharing this night with people that mean so much to me, including Fenndog. So what I'd like to say to you is never don't chase a dream. But the problem we've all got this year and the times that we've got is when we don't get to be the way that we want to, we lose faith, particularly lately. So what I want to say to you tonight is don't lose your dream, because you don't know how it's going to come to you. And tonight's a real poignant part of that. Yeah. And I mean, when I was in a real deep hole a couple of months ago and I got hold of this fella, he said to me, Tassie, look ahead, be positive, but don't look too far ahead so you trip over. And that was the thing that turned me around this year. So thank you, brother. When you think about it, it doesn't really matter whether he makes $2 million, not makes, raises $2 million out of this thing unless he connects with people. But that's what he's done the whole way. From the very top of the Cape, all the way through to Brisbane. Every community he's going to, he's touching people's hearts. And that's what this is about. That's the most important thing. So I was going to introduce him, but he's already landed. So, mate, thank you so much, and welcome to the evening. We can't wait to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Taz. So guys, I'd like to thank you all for attending. I just want to let you know that the walk isn't here as yet. I had the lovely Sky here come pick me up from just south of Maryborough. I have to share to you, I've actually had the toughest week I've had in the entire walk. I thought I've been this invincible machine. I trained really hard for this walk, and the humidity, yet I've walked through the Cape in some of the hottest parts of the country. the humidity and the traffic and a whole lot of things got to me today. Yesterday, the day before that. And
I need your phone, man. Sorry.
I don't know how much memory's left on the day. I've done a lot of filming on the walk. I've got 512 gig of footage that we'll release at some stage. This week has been my toughest week, and I like to be open and honest with talking about the walk itself, because the walk for me is a metaphor to everyone for battling adversity and beating challenges. If you've got a dream and you want to follow it, the walk is, in my eyes, very, very similar to following those dreams. So, when I have adversity, I want to be open and honest about it. So, coming into Rockhampton, I had an issue with my ankle. My ankle blew up double the size that it should have been, and it was just because I've been pushing too hard. I've done 15 marathons in a row, 25 kilos on my back, and been walking on an average of 5.5 kilometres an hour. So it showed me that the body does have its limits, and I wanted to find those limits, and I found it. So I think when someone's trying to beat any sort of adversity in their life, even if that challenge that day is pushing yourself so hard to get the fuck out of bed, that's the win right there. And then beyond that, if you can get out of bed the next day and then go sit on the front step, that's another win. And I think you just need to acknowledge the wins every day. Don't count the losses, just count the wins, because if you count the losses, you'll get depressed, you'll get upset, you'll get sad, and you won't move anywhere. But the littlest win, having your coffee out on the front step, or having a great conversation with someone, you need to acknowledge that and try and push everything else out of it. And that's why I want to be open and honest that the walk is not easy for me too. I thought it was easy. The first 1,000 kilometres, I'm like, yeah, I got this, I smoked it. And I did the first 1,012 kilometres in 43 days. It's now taken me the next 1,500, like 63, 64 days to do. So I'm being hard on myself through, I don't know, it's so hard to explain. It's hard for me to explain. So if someone can use this right now, you think you might not have the answers for everything, and then all of a sudden you lose all the answers completely. So I guess it's been harder for me because there's been a lot of variables. There's been the noise of the trucks, there's been the road surface is different, I'm not walking on dirt anymore, there's traffic 24 hours a day, whereas I could walk through the night by myself. And I just want to try and let people take this as an example. It's beating adversity in your life, and that's why I'm doing the walk. That's why it's from extreme to extreme, because mental health and suicide prevention is such an extreme thing. I think that's enough about that. I want to thank everyone here that's come here. I want to thank everyone that's donated, everyone that's honked the horn, everyone that's stopped and said g'day, because I had the absolute privilege and honour of transferring quite a large amount to the Black Dog Institute. I won't talk about the amount just yet, we'll talk about that in a second, but I could do the walk as hard as it does get for me every day of the week, but I couldn't do the walk as easy and with the support and with the growth without every single one of you guys here, every single one of the people online that can't be here. I'm humbled. I'm humbled the fact that I'm here right now and you guys are all looking at me and listening to me talk. I'm humbled that Trent has manufactured a hand plane there, and I don't know if you guys have seen the picture on the other side yet, you will, but the fact that it has a representation of me on it is very, very humbling. I'm going to open this up to questions. I've done this a couple of times before, but no one's really had any questions. But seriously, there's absolutely no taboo at all. If you guys want to ask me anything about the walk, anything about my life, anything that has led me to want to do this walk, please do. No questions are off. Yeah, man.
How do you handle chafing?
It takes the pants off.
Not very well. I've got to be honest with you, so I've dealt with a little bit of chafe on the inner thighs, and I wasn't a man that wore underwear for about 8 years. No. I'm not wearing underwear right now, I'm just relaxing myself because I've had to wear... Dealing with chafe, I wear the long-legged underwear, and I have got pawpaw cream, so every now and then, if someone passes me on the side of the road, and you see me turned around like this, pants are down, and I'm like, Yeah, I'm rubbing the ballboard cream while up in it. Because it's a real thing, dude. Like I'm doing 30 to 40. And you know what's the worst though for the day, when you stop halfway through the day, so when your body emits all the urea, salt crystals, whatever they are, when you dry out, they dry out too. So if you want an example of how it feels, get a pepper grinder or a salt grinder, grind it between your thighs and then go for a walk, because all the salt crystallizes in your armpits, in your groin. Yeah, if you really want to live the real deal, I've got some dark brown patches and chafing places that it looks like I've got ringworm, you know?
I think Jeff just volunteered to go from Brisbane to Gold Coast.
Well, that was that was a pretty deep question, but as you can see, I'm pretty honest about everything as well. So, has anyone else got any other questions?
I had the same question, I just wasn't going to go there, that's all.
I'll go anywhere.
Are you
Look,
walking barefoot or?
No, I'm walking in shoes, and I'm very, very lucky. I've got a company now that's supporting me with shoes. Yeah, I don't have to pay for another pair of shoes again. So yeah, a pair of shoes lasts about 600-700 k's. I pushed a pair of shoes 900 kilometres, and I wonder why my feet were so sore, because the sole had gone down to about 5 or 6 mil, and I did 110 kilometres that day in them as well. So
Yeah, the heat on the road and everything.
yeah, the heat of the road's affecting. So the heat of the road, the noise of the traffic, the people that don't know what I'm doing maybe get a bit upset about me walking on the side of the road. They're all issues I have to deal with, but you just got to keep cool, calm, collected, and know that your initiate is moving forward. Yeah.
How often do you get people pull over that know what you're doing? Say hi to you in the chat.
Man, I'd say about 2 or 3 times a week, and it's starting to grow a lot because of you guys being here, and because you guys sharing it. It's like, oh, I've got a mate of a mate that's following you and knows what you're doing. Obviously, I'm a bit hard to miss the way I look. I stand out a fair bit. Yeah, man. So, and that for myself, when that happens and when people pull up, that gives me the drive to go harder. Usually, after one of those interactions, I pick my pace up and I walk harder and faster, because it's making people. I'm trying to inspire people to push hard, and then when they see me walk off after doing 20-25 kilometres already for the day, they go like, oh wow, maybe I should go home and work a bit harder on myself. Like, no, it's like, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I really hope that I inspire those people to push harder, and that's why I am pushing myself to the limit, because we have a 60% with our body and our brain, and when your body reaches 60%, anyone that's trained in the gym before or done any sort of sport, your body at 60% goes, no, I've had enough. But if you can really switch past that and stop thinking about that, you've got another 40% in the tank, and you just keep going and going and going. Yeah. Any more questions?
Do you have a support team following you along the way, mate?
Apart from you guys here, no, it's zero. What you see is what you get. It's just me, backpack, hammock, sleeping bag, shoes, socks, undies. And I've done that too because we forget about the people that are out there sleeping under bridges. We forget about the people that are under there, like, can't find a home, don't have a home. Also the people that do have a home but don't feel like it's home for themselves. And I've been in a situation similar where you don't feel like anywhere's home and you feel alone. So by me doing it, being alone and not having any support and help, hopefully would inspire someone for resilience. I've honestly tried to make this walk as hard as I possibly can for myself, because there's people out there that do it way fucking harder than me and way harder than a lot of people. I can expand on that. There's so many people out there that do it so tough, and from me opening myself up to this initiative, realising that this affects every single person in the world, personally and vicariously. Mostly everyone has experienced it some way or another, personally. And to me, it's sad that has to, that it affects the world like that. So it makes me want to, again, I'll say it again, push harder, because it affects everyone. Yeah.
Tell us about the day you started.
The day I started. So the day I started, so I was supposed to get driven up to the tip. My mate got sick, he didn't want to get me sick, so he booked me a one-way flight. I got picked up by someone that's a cousin of a friend in Cairns, drove me to the tip. And I expected to, excuse me if I cry here, because it was a fucking fantastic day. So I got dropped at the tip, and where the car park is at the tip, you're still going to walk about 150 metres to get to the very most northern point. And I wanted to start from the most northern point on a low tide, on a rock that was pretty much wet. And I thought I was going to be alone there. And I guess the metaphor of you're not ever alone, it was crazy. I got there was 3 or 4 families up there all getting photos around the tip. No one knew I was there. I told a couple of people. As soon as they realised what I was doing that day, I received $450 in donations. It was crazy. So when I left there, they were cheering me on as I left off, backpack on, ready to go, looking all fresh and clean, not a spot of dirt on me, not sweating yet.
Clean shaven?
No.
What's the offer?
It'll cost $2 million. Honestly, $2 million if someone wants this beard off, and that's on top of what's already raised. So yeah, I was probably about 15 kilometres into the day, and these families come past. One car stopped, $50 note out the window. Another car stopped, $50 out the window. By the time I got to the third car, I was actually in tears, crying. I'm like, I've only just started this journey, and it was the humbling at that stage. And yeah, the first day was a very, very special day for me. Also, the first day I learned a very good lesson. Doing something like this, don't ever look at the map. I looked at the map and, you know, expanded it like this, and then I zoomed out to the whole of Australia. I'm like, oh, I'm never doing that again, ever.
I've got a question.
So mate, we live in a modern world, right? But we're an ancient species. We really haven't developed that much. So the question I got for you, like in Aboriginal culture, the rites of passage was men would go and walk about and discover themselves and all that kind of thing. So apart from your physicality, which you train for, and you're a fucking elite level athlete. Mate, the question I got about your headspace, like you can't train for what you did, so this walk about it you're on, have you discovered things about you that maybe you hadn't seen before you started?
That's so I'd done a little bit of training beforehand. I'd actually walked almost 1,500 kilometres before I started. However, I didn't, like, when I first put that bag on, I was packing my bag the night before, and I stepped on the scales and it weighed 45 kilos, and I was like, nah, we can't have this. So I unloaded it and I got it down to 35. So for the first 1,000, I had almost 35 kilos on my back. And what I have discovered about myself is that I thought I could push hard before, and I realised that I can push so much harder. That definitely was a massive realisation. When I put my bag on in the morning, my bag only weighs about 25 kilos now. When I put my bag on in the morning, I'm like, oh, that's so heavy. But 3, 4, 5, 6 Ks in, it just becomes a non-event because there's so many other things that I'm concentrating on. It is a mind game. Like, the walk itself is a complete mind game. I could just do 20 kilometres a day every day and it'd be a very easy walk. But the reason I'm pushing to 50s, 55s, 78s, 108s, 131 is to find my limit, because I'm very, very lucky that I have a great support group and a great bunch of mates that have stuck with me when I like to call certain people arsholes, because they ask for help and they ask for help and they ask for help, and you give them advice and they don't take it. And I was an arsehole. I'm like, what's going on in my life? They're like, you need to get rid of this out of your life, and I wouldn't. And then I'd drink a litre of alcohol and take some sleeping tablets and go to sleep. But these mates never gave up on me, ever. And I don't think that you should ever give up on your mates, because they eventually will see the light like I did. So 3 years ago, I wasn't listening. I was just drinking, going back to the same things over and over again. And now I look back at that, and I think of it as this big metaphoric dark hole at the bottom of a volcano. And I was in the bottom of that volcano looking up, and like, how the fuck did I get in here, and how am I going to get out? And I didn't even realise on the journey out that I got myself out of it. Now I can look back into that hole and like, holy shit, I have myself so deep. So Now I'm on top of the volcano, I want to climb the next highest mountain, so I never let this happen again. And I will say it again, me doing this walk, the way I'm doing it, and pushing myself hard, I really want to make people realise that you think you've reached your full potential, there's so much more. You can always push yourself better and build yourself and be a very resilient human being so you can become unbreakable. That's my goal. Yeah.
Have you physically, have you lost much weight and that sort of thing since being August?
I've put the weight back on because I've had the opportunity to obviously rest a bit, but I lost 9 kilos on the first part of the walk.
Yep.
And for myself, as someone that trained a lot, like I got up to 105 kilos and I was a big boy. And as anyone would know, with body image and what we call muscle dysmorphia as a male that wants to train, when I lose a lot of weight, I was hating on myself, but I had to realise that that part of the journey, the distances that I wanted to cover, my nutrition wasn't there. I was burning 7,000 calories a day and only eating about 1,800. So yeah, I lost 9 kilos. I probably put, I don't know, maybe 8 back on now.
So you're managing to maintain
Yeah, I managed to maintain it. But again, I'm trying to remember that that stuff doesn't matter. And body image shouldn't matter. You are who you are how you look. And if people don't accept you like that, then it shouldn't bother you at all. It really shouldn't.
So good at you.
That's a bit. I saw you, I thought, no way. So the fact that you see on the whole journey.
That was so this gentleman here, I met him just before I started the walk. I was out partying and there's this picture is he's dressed as a lady with a beard and he's giving me a good rogering.
You think you got the same hair that I had on my country?
Yeah, I saw it. I'd love to see you. I'm glad you're doing well.
Yeah.
No, it felt very well. I called it. Bit of story, another time. But yeah, I was looking forward to it in Brisbane. I went to catch up.
And
Basically, it's all that chat.
yeah, has anyone got any more questions? Look, thank you so much for your time, guys. So, Tassie, are we going to maybe hand something special to someone from the Black Dog
I think
Institute?
it's a great idea. We might have to bring a young lady up from the Black Dog Institute.
So come up here.
Thanks so much for coming. So this fella here's got a little Gregory Peck for you, which is Australian for cheque. And it's just behind you, so you want to close your eyes? Okay. Close your eyes. And we've got the cameras out. So from the tip of Queensland to Brisbane, this is what this young man has already raised with the help of everyone in Australia. So we'll let it go.
I don't believe in, I don't know, it's hard not to believe in manifestation and things that happen. But I've walked 2,500 kilometres. It's 10% of the journey. And I'm pretty proud to say on behalf of every single person that has supported me, I've got one of those big fake plastic checks here. The money's already been transferred to them, but there's a $25,000 check for the Black Dog Institute. This is not me, this is all you guys, this is fucking everyone. I'm sorry for swearing in front of the Black Dog Institute, but I tell you what, that's so humbling for me that there's 10% of what the goal is, and I'm very, very grateful and humbled to be able to hand this over to the Black Dog Institute.
Hi everyone, my name is Steph and I am from the Black Dog Institute. A little bit about me is I live with bipolar disorder and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. When I was 19, I was admitted into a psychiatric hospital. That's where I was diagnosed. And throughout then, my journey with mental health has been pretty rough. Not just because of what I was experiencing internally, but just because of how the system works and how it operates. Really, there isn't a lot of research or even support out there for mental health. My experience in a public hospital was pretty much as much as the doctors and nurses were doing as much as they can, pretty much like prison, and you're made to feel like a crazy person. I was 19, lost my job because my workplace said that they couldn't deal with my mental health. From there, I had to take out a $8,000 credit card to pay for a psychiatrist, to pay for private health insurance. All while I was not working. I tried to get on Centrelink, which is like disability pension. They knocked me back. I was unemployed for 18 months, basically with no home, slept in my car, putting $5 worth of fuel in my car. I've lost 3 friends that I love dearly to suicide. I've lost friends to addiction, and this is something that I'm really passionate about. What I do with the Black Dog Institute is I give community education to schools and workplaces, and that really helps break down the stigma. I do presentations to 12-year-olds that are experiencing self-harm and suicide. We do a presentation to adults who don't understand what their child is going through. We also do presentations to adults who are experiencing mental health, depression and anxiety within themselves that don't know what to do. And I think for me, I like seeing when I get to speak to really powerful people, so I know when I work in politics, don't shoot me, but the reason I joined and the reason I worked so hard to get into politics was because of my experience. So I'm really humbled to be here today, and I really congratulate you on the walk, because I'm standing here sweating, so I don't know how much you sweat when you're walking, but I really appreciate this, because the Black Dog Institute is the only organisation we have in Australia dedicated to research into mental health, and there is a really, really long way to go. So we are very, very humbled, and this is going to do so much for the Institute, so thank you.
Thank you so much. I know you guys are doing good stuff with that. And there's more to come, don't you worry about that, I'm only halfway. But I thought presenting it now to you guys, you can put it straight to use, because we need to do it right now. Thank you guys.
I'd like to invite Trent up. Trent, TP. So Trent got in contact with me about a month ago and said, mate, I want to do something. I said, well, you can drop some money in, but I like visuals, I like things that spark the conversation. So Trent has carved this, he creates beautiful handmade wooden surfboards, and he builds these hand planes, and I've got one myself, and he said, let's build a Fenndog hand plane. I've gone, yeah, let's do this. So during the week we've done an online auction, and the first night, what did we get to? The first night? 150, and then a lady from Manly Beach came in at 395, and she's held that position all week. So she is the winner, and her name is Leanne Knox. But the big part of the evening for the hand plane is it gets signed by Fenndog. So, Trento, let's do this, mate. So he's got to come up with a Fenndog signature in 5 minutes' time.
Thank you so much, guys. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so these little hand planes that I make they're actually leftover material from the surfboards that we sort of hand shape. This stuff was originally going into landfill and waste, so we sort of tried to hit the eco sort of button and talk about that whole sustainability side of things. And these hand planes now, instead of going into the bin, it's actually getting created into other hand planes and other works of art. So we're trying to look after the environment and do those things the right way, I guess. But these things are great. Surfboards are awesome, but on a day when there's no surf around and you just want to go and have a bit of a body bash, these things are good. They do work. We surf them in small surf, big surf, really big surf, and surf where we just went, that's too big, we're not coming out. But yeah, mate, I just thought your story and what you've done sort of tugged at a heartstring with me. Spoke to Desi and said it's time to do something. So I'm donating this and that money that lady's paid. Do you want to share why it's tugged at your heartstrings? Oh, you don't have to. No, look, I had a close mate of mine, and he's still around. But he was going through a really dark place and had some. He's got 3 kids and a family and all that behind him, and it got to a stage where we were sitting at a lake one night, and he just sort of said, I've had enough, and I'm going to the water. And it was fucking hard. So I pretty much stripped off with him, and I started heading into the water first. I said, well, if you're going, I'm going too. You can't face your family, you can't tell what has sort of gone down. So it was tough, and we got through it on the other side, and we sort of go through the highs and lows still together as a friendship group and as a really close mate. But that one there that was a tough night, that one. And it's something that you just always remember. You'll never forget his face when I took the gear off and headed into the water first. So thank Christ he didn't follow me in. It's definitely not the time I didn't want to go. That's for sure. So, but yeah, look, that's why it tugged at that heartstring for me. And I said to Desi, this is my way of trying to give back and help people out where I can, mate. So,
Bro, you already gave back, mate. The fact that you put yourself on the line like there for your fucking mates, that's what all my mates have done for me. They put themselves on the line for me, called me, gone out of their way. Like what you just did is such a monumental thing to do for someone, and you put yourself on the line for your mates. But congratulations to you that you're here, he's here, and thank you so freaking much. I've got to stop swearing. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. And Trent, thank you so much, brother. Thank you for sharing, bro. Thank you.
Well, guys, thanks, mate. That's unreal. It's getting louder again. The patrons are starting to come in. We kind of said to the guys, we'll probably open up the room again to their patrons at about 5:30. Shawnee, Alan in the back said he was having trouble hearing a bit of what was going on. Shawnee had a really good question, which is kind of pertinent to the weather that's starting to happen. So, mate, if you want to ask the question, and let's go another 5 or 10 minutes about a bit more Q&A, because I think a lot of people sitting there going, I'd like to ask him this question, but we couldn't hear him. So,
Thanks, Izzy. Thanks, Fenndog. Mate, appreciate what you're doing. Absolutely awesome, man. Awesome to be following your journey socially, that sort of thing. But obviously, stepping into the sunny coast, meant to be beautiful sunny coast, beautiful spring weather, that sort of thing. I was sort of wondering how the storms have played out for you, and everything that's sort of developed since, sort of right up Rainbow Beach all the way down, that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you definitely missed it before then. That's what I was talking about. This week just gone has been the hardest week of the whole walk, because the humidity, the storms, and I walked through the Cape. I was literally saturated wet for the first 4 days of the walk. They had a very, very late wet season, and it was raining as I left. But this last week has been so hard. So I got caught just north of Apple Tree Creek, and there was 3 supercells that all met together. And if you check out my live on Instagram, there's 2 videos where there'd be 60 odd claps of thunder and lightning strikes in a matter of 15 minutes. And I'm walking down the road, I'm like, I'm going to be dusted pretty soon, guys. It's been a good walk. Yeah, it's been definitely the hardest week of my walk. And even when Sky come pick me out the other day, I only did like 30 kilometres, and the whole time I'm like, oh, she's going to be here soon, she's going to be here soon. It was hard for me. Like 5 kilometres of walking is about an hour, and I was tripping the sweat after that. So it's been definitely hard. I know this is pretty typical of the season. It's a bit heavier than it probably has been before. But now the roads are wider, I'm going to actually start doing a bit more early morning walking, rest through the day, night walking to beat it. So if I can flip it again to how you battle anything in life, you just got to get things done, and you've got to manage it in any way you can. So I can't walk through the middle of the day right now. So instead I'll do half the walk in the morning and half the walk in the afternoon, or walk through the night as well. Yeah.
Congratulations to you, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
any other questions, guys?
I think we're all questioned out. I've got all the answers. I'm still like a 14-year-old boy. I've got all the answers.
So one question I did ask Fenndog 3 months ago is, you're going to drink on the trip? He said, no, mate, no, I've got to keep myself in good nick. So, are we going to keep you accountable tonight? No, so we turn the camera on.
To be honest with you, I was saying that a lot.
It's a big question for me.
No, I had a couple of mates, right? They're like, well, you're going to walk on the trip. Drink on the trip. You're going to have a few vendors. I'm like, nah, mate. To be honest with you, I've had a couple of nights with the boys. I met a bunch of ball catchers just north of Cowan, and I'll tell you the story. So I'm walking down the road. So most traffic stops on the Cape Road or the PDR at about 5:30, 6 o'clock. After that, it's just trucks because everyone's at their camp. So I've got this amazing bright headlamp on, belting down the road at about 6 kilometres an hour because it was beautiful, cool. And there's a bunch of guys. Oh, I thought it was a station house, but it was just a bunch of fluoro lights set up on a gazebo. And I've been lonely that day. I hadn't had many chats to people, so I'm purposely looking over to try and get a rise at the people that are over there. Sure enough, I got a rise. I see this quad bike start up and this headlamp start coming, belting over towards me. There's a young Indigenous fella and this cowboy looking dude. I'm thinking, cowboy dudes, alcohol, is there going to be a gun involved in this? They roll up, full skidded up to the side. They're like, what are you doing, mate? And I said, I'm walking to Tasmania. And when you're that far north and you tell somebody you're walking to Tasmania, they're blown away. So I told them I was walking to Tasmania, I told them what I was doing it for. They said, do you want to come in and have a beer? Well, 7 beers later, I was slept in a swag beside a fire. The guys took me in, treated me like their own. They donated me $600 cash. The boys just started jaying each other up. Like, come on, boys, empty your wallet, give me money, give me money. And so the next day then, they organised, when I got into Cowan, they'd organised a shower for me, they'd organised a room for me, they organised dinner for me, and I didn't pay for a drink. And I think there was I won't say the amount, but there was a few Bundy rums consumed that night. So yeah, look, I mean, alcohol it can be bad, but at the same time, it's a very good way of lubricating the conversation with a lot of Australians. And I guess it's really, really good with my initiate to sit down and have a beer or 2 beers with someone and really have a conversation with him over a beer. I mean, you can do it early in the morning, have a coffee with someone as well, but it's a great way to start that conversation with people. So yeah, I have drank on the walk, and I've used it as a social lubricant to sit down and have a conversation with people, much like tonight. Like, we're at a brewery, it's so amazing that these guys have opened us up to have us here, and you know, responsibly, it's an absolutely amazing way to have a conversation with people. So yeah, that was a very, very long answer, but yes, I've had a few drinks on the walk, mate.
That's all good, mate. Thank you so much, brother. We'll probably turn the camera off now.
And we'll turn the camera off, and then we can really ask you some questions. Thanks, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, guys.